As I already said, there is going to be a more practical day today. And I'm not saying that much for now, for this moment. There will be some interesting stuff during the day. You can discover, you can hear too. And stay tuned until the very end of this event, because you can win something, as last year. But now I clear the stage for your host, Mr. Apal Chintapalli.
All right. Good morning. Yeah, I see a lot of stragglers after last night's poker. Man, that was hopping. I left at 10:15 or so, but it was still going strong at the time. So good morning, everyone. Hope you had a fun day yesterday. We had fun hosting it. We had fun looking at all of you, and also I learned a lot from that poker presentation yesterday. That was pretty fun. But today is going to be a little different. Yesterday was a little bit more celebratory, I would say. Just saying thank you to all of you for being here. Today, we get more into our product, what the value proposition that we offer to our customers with you, right? We have lots of technical presentations. We'll have our sales leadership here in a panel exchanging views about how they see the markets. And after that, there's, Stahl traditionally has its own technical forum. We have combined that with this event, so that'll go. And then we also now have a conveyance technical forum. I think if you have never been there, I think that would be useful for people who want to learn about the products. Of course, the show and the products, they're all open. We also have that little section where we are showcasing a lot of our major projects with customers and partners. I think that would be another things. Meanwhile, me, David, a lot of the management team, we're all here. If you want to engage us, I know we do have some scheduled meetings with some of our partners, but if you want to join us or if you want to just take pictures with us, whatever it is, we are there. So please engage us. I think we are shooting to get the closing done, maybe start around 2:30 so we can finish around 3 o'clock. I know there's some schedule shifts that might happen, but enjoy the show today. Again, thank you for being here. Please give us feedback. All of our product people, sales people, they're all out there. They're there to help you and also collect feedback and give you the help that you need. Okay, so thank you. With that, I give it back to Axel and the sales leadership, I think.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening today? First, there will be the exciting panel talk with the CMCO sales leaders right here on this stage. And afterwards, you can discover a lot in our exhibition, presentations from other industries, lighthouse projects, and CMCO experts will be there every time, so you can ask anything that comes to mind. And you can try out the CMCO products yourself. And there will be also the expert exchanges on lifting and conveyance. And don't forget, there's a lunch. And as I already said, at the very, very end, there will be, as last year, the lottery, the raffle, and you can win something. But now, and in the next 25 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, there will be the CMCO sales leaders, and they will show you successes as well as challenges from the individual region, and they will also outline new markets and new industries. In short, they will give you a good overview of the big pictures, or big picture, so to say. And here they are, Mr. Mark Phillip, sales leader from the DACH region.
Morning. Morning, Axel.
Next is Franck Renieri for Eastern and Western Europe. Then there will be Dan Murty from the UK for the regions Middle East, Africa, India, and UK. And then Simon John for APAC. And last but not least, Sven Worm for the new markets and the new industry. So, let's take a seat, gentlemen. We'll start with the obvious, since we're here in Germany, the German-speaking region. Mark, now it's not a secret that the economy in this region, especially in Germany, is a little bit out of whack. But there's still successes. Would you like to give the audience a little insight?
Sure. So good morning, first of all, everybody. And yes, you're right. The DACH economy is a little out of whack, right? As you said, and of course the economy had to deal with quite, especially Germany, challenges, and actually had to adapt and adjust to a lot of things, right? Take for instance the high energy price that we have. Also, we have to deal in Germany, especially with the change of the Green Deal, right? Becoming carbon neutral is really a thing. And the third thing, all those changes of the demographic environment, the demographic changes is really not helping us to grow in Germany. But you know what? I think we overcame those challenges. And in fiscal 25, it was really so that we went to a lot of good things, and we have our customers really pushing us along. And I think what in Germany as well, we could manage a lot of good deals actually for the Stahl and Pfaff business, right? We had a lot of very good deals as far as there was in the Pfaff business, a lot of the rail business that came and pushed forward. For Stahl, there was a lot of the business that we managed to grow, and especially for Stahl, the challenge that we overcome when it comes to the marketplace. Basically, I think what I want to say is that the refurbishment business, that's the point I want to focus on, was really helping us to get on the right stage and actually driving growth forward. On the Yale and also on the donor side, I think we could take advantage of the great network that we have, and we took advantage of all the good, powerful distributors that grow into markets, key markets actually, where they were focusing on, let's say, the pulp and paper and some general industries. But of course, the project business itself, I think that was the key thing. The project business helped us to stay and keep our head above water, because in the project business, and we know the customers here in the room, right? They really focus on the projects that grow, right? And I think in the project business, you make a difference in the market. We, as Columbus McKinnon, we have a DNA in the project business, and that's really helping us to, move forward. I think, and we heard yesterday on the poker night, right? Making those big changes, right? And I think we support the project business big time, and that's what brings us forward. But I'm rather positive and optimistic if we look forward, because what we've seen as well is that I think based on three things, I'm rather optimistic in the market. We have one important thing is the German economy is growing, right? And in the German business, we see a lot of infrastructure processes, and the investments there, we will all participate and win that market. Number two is certainly that, and that's also based in the German economy as well, that we have a lot of new products that we were just presented. It's the SFX hoist, which is really making a big difference in the market. I think also that with the focus on the Pfaff business and also the Phoenix lifting column, that's really helping us to grow and win at the market race, and of course the battery oyster. But let me tap on one additional thing, which is basically the new innovation, and in general it's the customer that driving us bringing the innovation forward, right? I mean, take for instance the Jochenstein project. That customer who won, right? Who won
that's from the Jochenstein project.
That's the Jochenstein project, the one who won the award yesterday, and it was great to see that on the Jochenstein project, right? We really were able to move the world forward, and we could really lift a 220-ton rotor out of a hydropower plant right at the Danube River. And the innovation was really this cross-communication between those hoists and tandems, and that would really drive the market forward and generate additional growth. So overall, I think it's a positive outlook that I have. You said wacky, right?
Yeah.
And we are a little wacky, that's for sure, but the outlook is positive, and I see a good way moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Marek.
Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Jochenstein project is a quite interesting project, and probably you heard it yesterday in the news. Germany was kind of in a limbo for a couple of hours since we had no administration, but now we have a chancellor, and so I think everything is going to be good here, and also in the other countries like Switzerland and Austria. Now we take a little leap into a totally different region. Dan, besides the UK, you are in charge of the Middle East, Africa, and the Indian region. The situation there is certainly different from here. What can you report?
Well, firstly, good morning, everyone. I think I'd like to clarify that, you know, the Middle East, Africa, UK, and India region as a unit really is a powerhouse of growth and innovation. And when you look at what's happening in some of the countries in the region, genuinely they're shaping the future of global infrastructure. And last year, CMCO grew its sales year on year in the region, but I think in reality, we're only scratching the surface of the potential that exists there. You know, in this really dynamic, diverse region, it's home to some of the fastest growing economies on the planet. You know, in recent years, we have been privileged actually to work on some really impressive projects, you know, working on the rail network development in India, on some mega oil and gas projects in the Middle East, some of which together with our partners, and also some interesting oil and gas development work in the North Sea. And actually here on display at the show, there's a couple of interesting projects. There's the India Railways Van der Bharat depot project, where we installed an 8-car synchronized pitch-jack lifting arrangement for the rail carriages, which I believe was actually the first of its kind in India. And there's also the Tucker Harding oil platform project, where we delivered and installed 2 highly engineered explosion-proof cranes, which operate in tandem in a really confined space offshore. But, you know, in addition to wonderful opportunities, there are some quite unique challenges that we encounter. In India, there's an ever-increasing demand for local content in the projects. In South Africa, there is ever-fluctuating commodity prices, which causes challenges, some political instability. And in the Middle East, we encounter hyper competition. In fact, that's even more prevalent recently when other markets are somewhat cooler. We know with careful planning and adaptability, when we consider CMCO's resources and technology combined with the know-how and connections of our partners, we can certainly continue to grow. In fact, perhaps we can accelerate the growth in the region. Looking forward, there is high levels of continued investment planned in government-funded infrastructure projects. And to compound the benefit to us of that, in some countries, India, for example, this infrastructure development is an engine for manufacturing sector growth. And in other areas, Saudi Arabia is one, actually diversification and growth in the manufacturing sector is perpetuating more infrastructure growth. And a common theme across the whole region is an increased focus on advanced manufacturing and the development of smart factories, and with those becomes the increasing requirement for more sophisticated materials handling systems and automation, which is directly aligned with CMCO's capabilities and strategy. And so perhaps it's fair to me to wrap up and say that within this region, investment in infrastructure is pivotal to continued economic growth, private sector development, and our increased cooperation and collaboration is absolutely essential to navigate the challenges that are there and make the most of the opportunities that exist.
Thank you, Dan. So it was a quite interesting insight into Dan's area, which is so different from good old Europe. And we mentioned that a couple of minutes ago that Germany is a bit, Germany as the, so to say, one of Europeans' powerhouses is weakening a bit. So how does this influence the countries around? And Frank is in charge for that region, for the Western and Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Do you see any problems coming up, or is it the other way around for your regions because of the function of Germany?
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. So the region I'm responsible for has these specific situations that there are more than 40 countries. So some of them are relatively small, others are relatively big economies. So in general, I was excited to see that out of 20 countries, we've got partners that came here to this event. And obviously, we see the same situation in those countries that are represented here. Some are compared to the average growth for the industry in Europe, which is 1%, upset 1%, some significantly, but most of them are rather the same or down. So there's not a general statement on that. What I would say we have been trying to do, and that probably matches with Appal's comment yesterday on this is an understatement that if we are talking about in certain times. So the thing we are trying to do with the team I have in that region is to offset this general growth of the industry, which is in some countries very difficult, or in some even negative, by partnering with our distribution partners and bringing together the knowledge. I think we are, as it's well known with all the Columbus McKinnon brands, positioned not as a price leader which has the lowest price. So ultimately we have to have the best solution to our customers. So what we are trying to focus on is bringing together the product-related knowledge and the application-related knowledge that our team has, together with the support from the plants and in our sales team, and pass that on to our partners, offer them to bring the market knowledge together to be able to offset that economic trends and growth. And going to give you an example of a vertical market, which is the energy market, where our company is with the multiple brands quite active, has some proprietary products which are very interesting to the end user. So both in energy transportation, like with the Yale branded manual hoist that you can see also here on the show for the UT applications, we are having a specific product offering. And then in terms of the production of energy, there's a PFAF winches for biogas. There are Stahl products, wire rope hoist integrated into water power production facilities. There are Yale products and Stahl products into the maintenance areas of nuclear power plants. So we have quite a good positioning in some of these vertical markets. And this was one example of the lifting area that also goes for the conveyance part, for the Dorner and Montratec part. So like food and beverage as one of the vertical markets. There's also, again, the one CMCO idea in bringing together other products from the Yale, Stahl and PFAF into other areas, whereas on the food and beverage, conveyance solution. It's going into the packaging, into the really the production, at the entry of the raw materials. There are lots of products that our customers could go and see customers in the marketplace. And this is just a few examples. There's the additional support from some of the plants that are also in the area that I'm responsible for. So we've got rigging solutions from the Hungarian plant that help our distributors for specific applications. We have got special lifting tables in the Polish plant. We have got, for example, a very unique solution for the elevator business with winches made by the Wuppertal plant in Germany. We are in hazardous environments and harsh environments like we see on the examples that is also on the product display together with the company Adametz. We were in a very hostile foundry environment, providing the right solutions with Stahl, but also the Yale and Pfaff product likewise is positioned in the same way. So I would encourage our partners to go into that dialogue, to intensify the dialogue with our people. So we are partnering with you and try to combine that knowledge together. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Frank, for the insight of the Western and Eastern Europe. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're leaving Europe again, and we're flying into a region which is also a bit of a contrast to Europe, and we're flying to Simon and the APAC region, which is, of course, regarded one of the most up-and-coming regions of all, or some of you may remember the Tiger States, as we said a couple of years ago. So what's the new and emerging markets in your region, Simon?
Yeah, good morning to all of you. I would say that the most exciting industries, as you could see that yesterday, one of these presentations by our these guests from Marcus Bacan from Siemens and Dr. Sarah Michaelis from the VDMA. You can see from that a chart, more than 45% of the global production for the EVs is now in China. And approximately 20% of this EV production also is in Asia Pacific. We are here talking about more than 50% of these productions is very much concentrated in Asia Pacific. This is one of the areas that we are not able to ignore it. We have to go in there. That was why that we formed some team to do this so-called production process analysis of various markets in this so-called battery production as well as the EVs production. And as a result of that, we all know that CMCO has a wide-ranging products. And this really gives us the advantage to really look into different segments or different sectors along the supply chain, as well as the manufacturing processes, either in the EVs or in the battery. And I can say that I'm happy to announce that lately we have actually secured some good orders from BYD in China. We are actually going to supply approximately 87 pieces of the cranes, or rather 177 hoists, to BYD in various productions in China. And other than that as well, we secured a order for also BYD in Indonesia for the car plants, whereby we are supplying heavy-duty cranes, 40 tons to 60 tons, for the car parts stamping productions in Indonesia. So I would say that these are really the exciting area whereby we are doing that. And we also have some so-called crane partners in China who is able to bring our product, our lifting equipment, and to value add it, using it for the clean room environment for the raw material of the battery. We have to have a big bag chain hoist, we clean for the clean room environment. And these are all the areas that we are working along in the process of these so-called EVs and batteries. Other than this, I would say that the second most exciting area in the Asia Pacific is about infrastructure development as well as in the construction industry. As you know that, there are a lot of the political leadership changing in this Asia Pacific. In particular, Indonesia is one area whereby, that a new president is coming on board and who is very eager to develop the economy for the country. Infrastructure is coming back. And I just was so happy, that I brought our Indonesia crane partners here today, and they were able to see through, the whole wide ranging of our CMCO products over here. We could identify more opportunities other than just cranes. We are here looking at these depot projects, whereby we have an opportunity to use linear motion products and things like that. We had this award given to ADV as well, that we are able to really look into more than just the linear motion product, but winches as well, for the construction industry. Construction is still, I would say, booming, very much booming in Asia, in particular in Singapore, and also I would say that partly also for India market as well, that these are the area whereby high-rise buildings are building up. They require new construction technologies, and these are the area that we are looking into, and to help our crane partners to look beyond that. And this morning I was talking to our Hong Kong agent, who is actually one of the biggest engineering and construction company in Hong Kong, that we are able to really discuss wider ranging of product than just a hoist, We look at a battery hoist. We now know that battery hoist can be used in the MRT, whereby we can do all the rail replacement work because you don't need the electricity supply at all. And also that Raymond, Raymond is the CEO of the Hong Kong agent, was telling me that there are so many exciting things that we can work together in the construction and in the infrastructures area. Other than that, I would say that, of course, there are challenges that we are facing. We have some of these. We have the so-called entertainment product, whereby our strong brand name is Lodestar. We sell Lodestar into Asia Pacific, in particular in Japan, South Korea, and in China, as some part of, and as well as Australia. Yeah, with these so-called tariffs, and the so-called long lead time delivery that we are still facing, we are at the moment still looking for many other alternatives. How are we going to work on that? We have very innovative idea. We have a good so-called team in Asia, especially in China. They are highly innovative, highly, I would say, creative, in thinking about if we don't have this, what are we going to do with any other alternatives? And here, actually, we are bringing our entertainment customers into this event as well, showing them the Yale stage hoist that is from Wuppertal. We hope, with all this so-called innovative way of thinking, where we are able to still capture some lost market in Asia Pacific.
Thank you. Thank you, Simon. You already spoke a little bit about the new markets, but at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I have to go a little bit deeper to take a closer look to the new markets. And Sven, I just guessed this is about batteries, semiconductors, e-mobility, and so forth. But you're the expert, and I've heard you brought up some very compelling quote. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yes, of course. But first of all, hello together. Good morning. Yeah, we have a nice quote, but I tell this later.
Okay.
Yeah, we are making, and our customers make a lot of electronics products. So there we say PCB and DCB, so it's printed circuits. Then we have semiconductor. It's a nice area for us. It's a global area with global customers. And e-mobility, and especially in e-mobility, it's batteries. But batteries are not only for e-mobility, because we have the complete picture of mobility, and this means batteries for shipping, batteries for aviation, and batteries also, the colleague from Siemens yesterday mentioned it, we have it also to store the energy in houses. So battery is really a huge potential for us globally. And now the quote. This was really funny because we discussed with my boss and say, yeah, batteries, batteries, batteries. And he say, and this is really a nice sentence, battery is the oil of tomorrow. And this is really impressive because it's real. When you heard yesterday from Siemens what is coming up in the next years, we can change the world together. And you are asking, what have these areas, these customers, these business units together? All our customers have their production in clean room, and therefore ESD is a huge topic for them. And you will see later also outside, we have a huge potential and huge knowledge in ESD products, and especially for these areas, we have a lot of knowledge. Last but not least, I'm a little bit different to my colleagues because they have all regions. I don't have a region because we have global customers, and therefore we are global responsible. So my team is global responsible for our customers because we have one face to the customer, and therefore we are acting globally to support our customers, to be there, and therefore it's really nice because I'm now 2 years with CMCO, nearly 2 years, and with Stay Alone, with Montratec, this was not possible for us. Now we have a huge potential because we have a global footprint. We are there with our customers, we can support them, and we can help them. And this is a big benefit for our customers, for you, and for us.
Thank you. Thank you. So this happened to be a quite revealing insights into the various regions and the new markets. But before we come to an end for our little round here, I would like to ask the gentlemen in a short and to-the-point sentence for your audience, what do you want to achieve for your individual region? And we start with Simon.
Okay.
One sentence, more or less.
Oh, that's challenging.
Straight to the point.
I break the sentence into several, Okay, I must say that very thankful to the so-called complete range of the products that we have that make us more innovative and creative in the way that we are going into all the markets. Yeah, and I also am very thankful that we have multiple locations of manufacturing. We not just have it in the US, but we have really a whole manufacturing base in Germany, in Europe, and also, in Asia. We have plants in Malaysia, we have plants in China. This really gives us the leveraging on these multi-location, wide-ranging products that we are going into the market. What I'm looking forward to is to continue to build long-term, strong partnership with our partners in the region. That is the most important things. And knowing very well, actually, I used to come from the Stahl crane system. We have always more than 30 years of the crane partners working strongly with us, not just to go into the market, but as far as the commercial challenges and things like that, we work very, very well with them. And I want to continue with this with our new channels as well, and also looking into all the new markets together for a longer term basis. That is my key point for Asia Pacific. Thank you.
Okay, this happened to be 20 sentences. Well, no problem.
I make it shorter.
Okay.
Most important is that the message came through. So, Sven, what do you want to achieve for your global region, so to say?
Yeah, first of all, thank you to our partners and our customers, because without you, it's not possible what we are doing. We heard a lot of risk, and I think it was yesterday impressive, the POCO speech. And when you hear this, risk is always a chance. And for us, it's the biggest chance in the world, because with batteries, and that's what we're doing, we can change the world.
Thank you. So next in a row, Frank.
Yeah. So inspiration grows partnership, as we had as a slogan. So get inspired by the multiple opportunities that we have to grow together, reach out to our team today and beyond to grow with us together and capitalizing on our combined knowledge, you with your specific market knowledge together with us on the product and application side.
Dan, it's your turn. What do you want to achieve?
So I would like to see increased collaboration across the whole region, connecting resources and expertise to improve customer service and steer innovation.
Very short, very to the point. Thank you very much. And last but not least, Mark.
Yeah, in short, definitely want to combine the strength of the various Columbus McKinnon brands, provide best customer service, and drive significant growth for the customers and for us.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon John. Sven Worm. Franck Ranieri. Dan Murti. And Mark Phillip. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I announced this before, now it's getting practical. The exhibition is open and you can embark on a journey of discovery. I wish you a fruitful exchange and many interesting conversations. At 10 o'clock here on stage 1 starts the English expert exchanges, and at 11 next door on stage 3 they will start the German expert exchanges. And do we have the program? Yeah. So this is the big stage. We are here now, and stage 3 is just next door. And the program also, yeah, here we go. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, expert exchange is here in English, and at 11 in German next door. And I would like to announce the company Heller project presentation will be at 10 o'clock. Oh, that's new, there's something new. At 10 o'clock at the German stage next door, and 2 in the English version will be here yeah, I'm right. Okay, this was totally new to me. Okay, so now I wish you a lot of fun and interesting conversation. We meet again in the whole gang, so to say, at 2:30 for the last round, for the raffle, and see you then. Thank you, and don't forget the lunch. Bye-bye.
What we've got today is a little bit what we call the technical forum. So we had this in the past, specifically for the German-speaking regions, where we come together once a year and use the opportunity to have an exchange of technical information. So that's what it's about today. Today we'll look a little bit more into the technical aspects of some of the products that have been released yesterday, and exactly some of the specifications and things like that. So what I do have, thank you Mark, here's a little laser, I hope you can see that from back there. So this is a big opportunity for us. This is actually quite an exciting time. The reason being is this is the first product launch of this scale that we've had since about 15 years. So we've had some other product launches in this area, but what we're looking at now is a product launch in the wire rope hoist segment. We have a bit of an agenda here today. This is referring basically to our technical forum, so a couple of the presentations that we'll be hearing today. As I mentioned, myself and Mark will be running you through the SXF wire rope hoist.
Yeah, good morning everybody. Very excited. So we try to keep our best to keep in the time loops, because the parallel in German in the next hall is also starting at some point. So let's go through.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity here at the beginning to go through a little bit of an agenda. So as Mark just mentioned, I've got about 40 minutes maximum left. I'd like to have a bit more time, but that's okay. We'll get through some of the points. And I'd like to take the opportunity also just to highlight some of the points that we won't be able to get into today. What we'll start out with is having a look at the background. Mark did touch on it yesterday and where it started out with our voice of customer in the previous years. I'd like to have a look at where this product fits into the portfolio. So some of you guys that are very familiar with the Stahl wire rope hoist or the Stahl product range, maybe asking yourself, where does this product fit exactly into the portfolio and where does it find its best applications? To determine that, we'll need to have a look at some of the hard facts, some of the technical specifications. So this product is not replacing something, rather it's got a new position in the portfolio. With that, we'll have a look at some of the new features, or let's say some of the main differences between these two products. For that, we'll have a look at the mechanical design, and of course, we'll have a look into the electrical design changes. As you can see here, the SXF wire rope hoist is a full VFD controlled hoist. Some of you may have had the opportunity yesterday to have a look at that, to try it out, to see the functionality, how the hoist is reacting. I will touch on the brake system. What we're looking at there is basically a safety brake system, we could call it. I'll go into a little bit more detail on the park brake functionality of this as we go through. Also, I've got a lot of topics, so it's also we're going to have a look at the control technology and communication. What does this mean? So you may have seen the hoist outside, I'm sure you have, but underneath the cover, there's a lot of new and unique features integrated into here as well. Yeah, some of the safety aspects that are also associated with the electrical design. And we have some of the options. So at that point, Mark, and I'd like to take this opportunity now just to have a short few words about the options. So we see here 16 plus 8. Can you elaborate that on that a little bit?
Yeah, basically we have 16 variants in different loading conditions, so all the way from 2 tons up to 10 tons. We have also variants in the electrical design, so we have variants for crane controls, crane kits without transformer, but we have also monorail electrics that includes the transformer. And then we have the execution also pluggable so that it fits to our crane kits. That options or that variance is available also in Sales Manager so that you can configure your complete crane kit. Later on, this pluggable is also available as option for retrofits. So if you have already a crane kit from Stahl Crane Systems, you just can order the hoist with the plugs and it will fit to your existing crane kit. As for the options, we analyzed also with your feedback, the feedback from our crane partners over the last couple of years, which options are the most famous options. So we integrated the most 8 famous options. But as you know, Stahl Crane Systems is also coming a lot from projects business and special business. So we have also a lot of demand for some documentations. So we have already included 10 document options that are most wanted from the past.
Excellent, thank you. And as we move forward, or as we move towards the end, we will have a look into where we are now with the product release and maybe some highlights that are to be seen into the future. So to get started, we heard this topic raised a few times yesterday, a little bit of a teaser that Mark did up on the stage. Also, we heard it a few times in different presentations. So the background to this project, why have we got this wire rope hoist? And what were the parameters that determined the project scope? Basically, the whole project started back in 2022, approximately, where we had the voice of customer feedback. There was also, as Mark mentioned yesterday, individual interviews to get your feedback from what you want to better react on the market with a new product. What we heard from you was that you need a hoist in the lower capacity range, somewhere around the 10 ton and below capacities. Of course, or not of course, but what was required here is a cost-effective solution. A cost-effective solution, we know style products have high engineering capabilities with a lot of off-standard options. This often brings a higher price tag with it. So, a cost-effective solution. And you can imagine at that time, 2022, we had some delivery, supply chain issues and struggles, as everybody did globally. So, of course, one of the key points here was also readily available with shorter delivery times. So, as Mark mentioned already, also we wanted a product, or you wanted a product on the market that also maintains the essential options without going into engineering. And not last but not least, the whole system basically should be simple, reliable, and of course low maintenance, as we're used to with the other product range. Yeah, so as we see on this slide here, the results from that project start, we have on the left-hand side the wire rope hoist that you also see outside. The particular model here is an SXF 40. We have both of the model types outside. On the table at the top you see the SXF 50, or the SXF 40 and 50, thank you, the two model types. So from this we've looked at the two capacity ranges, 5 tonne up to 10 tonne. And respectively, we have now two model types here. Exactly. As we look further down the table, you see the reeving capacities here, or the reeving configuration. We have a full 1 configuration at the moment. This is planned, for the moment, it's planned to stay this way. Yeah, as we have a look further down the type of trolley, we've got the KEX 44s for the smaller trolley. The defining marking on this trolley is the X in between or before the 44, and respectively with the 65. One of the highlights that we'll look at a little bit later in the presentation is the adjustable flange width. So you can see here we have all of the flange widths covered from 90 millimeters up to 500 millimeters, and respectively 119 millimeters up to 500 millimeters. We also have made some changes here on a technical point of view, so I'll leave that up to Mark. What we have is the drum length here. We have a new marking. Typically we talk about the drum lengths on the SH wire rope hoist as an L2, L3, L4, L5 and L5 plus, but that's going into the engineered. Mark, I'll let you explain a little bit to the new drum lengths that we've managed to configure here.
Yeah, the drum length was also a voice of customer feedback in our interviews we did. With the SH series, we have 6 meters height of lift and 10 meters height of lift, and there was quite a big feedback from you to extend that just a little bit, because often customers need 7.5 meters height of lift and therefore change to L3, making the hook approach already a little bit worse. Especially on the L3, we have currently 10 meters height of lift, and many customers just have 11 or 12 meters height of lift, and with that they were forced either to go into thinner ropes, which were more cost effective, especially in maintenance when the rope needs to be changed, or jumping to the L4, which is a big jump because the L4 on the SH hoist series is good for 20 meters height of lift. So we incorporated that feedback into the new hoisting series to have now an L3H. We changed a little bit the designation to be clear also in the factory what is L2, what is L3, and what is the new extended hoisting range. So the new hoisting range with the L3H is going up to 12 meters height of lift, covering much more than 80% of all the customer needs.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So we'll continue on with the technical specifications, but I'm not going to hang around here too long. I mentioned before on the previous slide that we had capacities 5 and 10 ton. We do have intermediate capacities here. So if you look on the left-hand side, I think you can see that pretty clearly. We start at a 2-ton capacity and take the SXF40 up to a 5-ton capacity, and respectively the SXF50 up to a 10-ton capacity with the intermediate capacities here. As we move on along the table further to the right-hand side, we see the ISO classification. For some of you guys, a highly relevant, interesting topic. What we have here is for the rope drive, and we have for the mechanics of the hoist itself. So on the rope drive we see M5, and for the mechanics we see M4, M5. This is something interesting for us and also something very new for us in this category. The ISO classification has something to do with the full load working hours of a hoist. You may ask yourself, full load working hours, what does that mean? The full load working hours is 100% load capacity of the hoist for 1 hour. Mark, I'll let you take over the full load capacity rating of M4, M5.
Yeah, so M4/5 is an intermediate range or an intermediate category that is not officially in some of the ISO or FEM regulations incorporated. So we did similar approach from other hoisting manufacturers in the past, because the gap from 800 hours full load design and 1600 hours design, and when we move above M5 all the way up to 3200 hours hoist life design, those gaps are quite big. And if you compare that to the new crane classifications with the loadings and the cycles, they are a little bit smoother stepped in. So currently the M4/5 we have defined as 1000 hours full load hour, which is quite a massive approach for a standard lifting hoist. All those hoists include also the SMC4. We'll come in some slides to that point. So the 1000 hours full load is also incorporated in the SMC4, so the lifetime is calculated against that value. This is also taking into account that the development of the hoists is still continuing. So we have a different phase approach coming with, for example, 2-speed hoisting later on. So that will be also our closing slide. So we will repeat that sentence again. So the hoists are still in full test mode, and as soon as we have more knowledge about the lifetimes, that might also be a subject of change. Currently, we go with M4/5, and again, especially here on the on the gearbox, on the hoisting mechanism, the M4/5 is not related to safety, but it's only related to lifetime. And if you count 1000 hours full load down to, for example, 80% mean load, you are always far above 1800 hours of full operation with that 80% mean load.
Great, yeah, I'll come back to that point as we get towards the end of the presentation. Fantastic. So what we do have as we move one column further is we do have up on the top in the blue field, we've got this DLS mid ultra lift. Unfortunately, the field wasn't big enough to put the translation in there, but what that means is the DLS, it's called a dynamic lift system with an ultra lift functionality. This is our increased lifting speed at low load conditions. Just get you to hold on to that thought, and we'll touch back to that on the coming slides. So we'll have to move on, and you may be asking yourself, where does this product fit into the portfolio? I touched on it before, and basically what we need to consider here is the technical specifications. As I mentioned, the product's not replacing any product lines, rather it has a new position in the product portfolio. And as I mentioned, the technical specifications together with the application determines the position in the product portfolio. What does that mean? It's basically that with this particular hoist system, we have a fit-for-function product. So the idea is basically an out-of-the-box type system. So there's not a whole lot of changes in the system that can be done. It's an out-of-the-box, plug it in, and it works and it does its job. We've had a focus here on easy design and installation, so definitely we've made some improvements with the new hoist design. So simple installation. And one of the reasons that we are all here today, or that we are presenting these highlights for you today, is something we've been able to build up here as well, is to integrate the expertise from the Magnatech product range into the Star wire rope hoist. And doing this, we've been able to create this DLS functionality, this dynamic lift solution, with higher speed ranges at no load conditions. Where it fits into the product portfolio, basically we're looking at a lightweight, compact class hoist in a competitive sort of price category. So it's not designed to compete directly with the over-engineered product ranges that we already have available. So as we look into some of the changes that have happened onto the hoist itself, those of you very familiar with our products would have noticed straight away there's something missing. As we have a look at the hoist itself, the whole control panel has been moved from the gearbox side into a centralized control panel on the hoist. Now we have our gearbox here. As I start from the top, we've got what Mark likes to call the 710 lid. Of course, the oil lid, if you read it upside down or if it's been installed upside down, it's now a 710 lid, internal joke. Basically, we've got our oil breather valve at the top. As we move down here, we've got the gear limit switch mounted directly onto the gearbox. For the VFD applications, we have 6 switch positions. We have 3 at the top and 3 at the bottom. We have the slowdown area, respectively up and down. Then we have the cutoff, the operational cutoff point. And then we have the emergency stop. We have this at the top and the bottom on this design. An interesting fact that we have here, we have an encoder feedback. So you may have noticed outside on the gearbox, we have this little encoder mounted onto the gearbox shaft itself. This is a very unique system. So this is the first of its kind where this encoder feedback actually goes directly back onto the SMC4 itself. So the encoder is not connected to the frequency drive at all. The whole controls are coming from the SMC4 and given through to the VFD drive itself for the hoisting motion. I'll touch back onto that again later as well. And at the bottom, we've got a maintenance-free gearbox, basically, but there is sometimes a case where you may need to release the oil for some service needs or inspections, and here we have the opportunity to do that. Yeah, so it's a aluminium gearbox housing. Mark, I believe there's been some efficiency changes also here on the weight side of things.
Right, so if you compare the old SH gearbox, for example, the empty gearbox housing without any wheels and bearings inside are the same weight than here the complete finished aluminium gearbox, including all the wheels, bearings, and as you see here, the setup. So with that massively reduced weight, we can also avoid the counterweights. You see here the weight improvement up to 200 kilograms per unit. So the SXF5, which is a 10-ton unit, right, is now at 556 kg. If you look to our SH product information, you will find 720, 750 kilograms based on the variants and options. So you see outside, for example, if you later on jump back to the product and look to it physically, just for our show purpose, we have selected a very small flange width of 160 millimeters out there. So only the 10-ton has then one small counterweight plate you can see if you know where to look to. But all the units above 250 millimeters flange width do not have any counterweight at all. So with that, lightweight on the left side for the gearbox, and by that avoiding the counterweights on the right hand side, we have massively reduced the complete weight of the unit.
Great. I'd like to take this opportunity also as well to highlight one of the other special features that has been integrated into this hoist system. What we have here is a adjustable flange width, as we had also in the past, but what we had to consider in the past was the counterweights. Now, of course, the counterweights aren't attached to the hoist. For those of you familiar with our older, or familiar with the SH wire rope hoist, I should rather say, we had the counterweights mounted on this side. When we adjust the flange width here, it's a shift of the weight distribution. And with that, when we open the flange width, we have a shift in distribution, weight distribution, and we'd have to put different amounts of counterweight on there to balance that back out. Here we have a huge flexibility, a huge improvement. There's actually, in most cases, no need to have a counterweight at all, apart from the scenario that Mark just mentioned. So what that means for us is we have one hoist, or you have one hoist that you can put on stock and use it for all possible flange width adjustments, apart from the one exception. That's a huge advantage for you, being able to have the one stock there. You can take this hoist and put it onto any beam width without any further adjustments. Yeah, with the flange, adjustable flange width, we have here our the drive shaft going through here. We have the drive shaft going through here, also on a sliding adjustment system, going right through onto both wheels. So this is also, again, an even distribution of the load onto both trolley wheels. Again, reducing wear to the trolley wheels themselves and also to the structure. Yeah, this whole adjustable flange width is made possible thanks to a worm gear drive that we have installed on here. And you can see now on the worm gear drive itself, the drive shaft going straight through that gearbox, which allows us full flexibility for all possible flange widths. To make that easier, some of you that are really technical and familiar with our product may know in the past on these drive shafts we had little snap rings. These have now been replaced with what we're seeing here on these smaller pictures with a locking clamp. And if I look a little bit closer, oh, you don't have to look that close. The picture's actually quite big. So, but you can see just here what we have here is basically an adjustable clamping plate. So you can just loosen that screw, and that allows for this shaft to be slid backwards and forwards. Interesting enough, you may be considering or asking yourself, has this had an effect on the approach distances? When I see this motor here, this 90 degrees mounted to the hoist frame, it could raise concerns about the approach distances of the hoist. Here you don't have to be concerned. Mark, I'll let you take over here. We have got a nice table here for the approach distances. Please.
Right. The interesting thing with the travel drive, as Ricky just mentioned, it's not clearly visible on this picture though, but the geared limit switch that we need for fulfilling the European hoisting regulations is behind that travel drive, and it's only 40 to 50 millimeters smaller than the travel drive. So even if we have a very big girder, we could easily flip the travel drive upside down so that the travel drive is not anymore an obstacle to the hook approach on the left side. However, the gear limit switch, the gear limit switch on the hoisting gearbox is still sticking out. So by flipping the travel motor upside, we just get 40 millimeters better hook approach. However, if you sometimes there is the need for the last millimeter on the crane, right? So if you have a box girder that is high enough that there is no obstacle if the travel gear motor is upside, you could turn it 90 degrees and save some more 45 millimeters.
Yeah, great.
Also on the left-hand side, you see that the travel gear is not sticking out. And even if you have a very, very small flange width, the bars that connect the right trolley side and the left trolley side, they are not sticking out of the panel box on those units.
Yeah, great. So what that, I guess what you're trying to say there, Mark, if I'm right, is previously we had the counterweights here on the SHY rope hoist series, and with the control panel being mounted on the hoist frame, there's no change in the dimension regardless of the flange width. Is that right?
Right. And you see also, especially here on the L2, the dimensions between left approach and right approach are very, very equal. So that means also your approach load on the crane is very, very similar. Yep.
Great. You would have seen outside also on the hook block itself. Here we've got a new feature with us on the standard type application. We have a finger protection integrated into the hook block itself. Other manufacturers have got systems similar to this. A lot of them look at this with different ways, either a finger protection or a dust protection. Here we've managed to cover both scenarios, offering finger protection and also protecting the rope drive itself from dust and dirt and things that might ingress into there. The rope guide, this is a system that we've been using for a very long time, the rope guide itself. So it's the system that we've continued to keep, of course, on this hoist. You may have noticed this particular design is in a hardened plastic design now. But what we still have here, and what's most important, is that we have a 360-degree clamping effect onto the rope drum. So what that does is, for example, if the rope was to be pushed against the rope drum, it would create an overwinding or a slack rope situation that could become dangerous. So we have a guaranteed 360-degree clamping effect onto the rope drum, holding pressure onto the rope the whole time. And we have a tension spring, of course, as we had up until date with the other designs, around the rope, holding pressure onto that rope. The whole system is a very simple attachment, as you can see here, held together with 2 tension springs for the clamping effect, and just quite simply running along a guide rail at the bottom. As we move on to the hoist motor, there's not too much to go into detail here, remembering that we're keeping the design target for this was to keep it as a simple design, easy access, low maintenance and reliable. So here we have a hoisting motor from a European manufacturer. Very simple setup. We are running an open loop circuit on these hoist configurations. So in this case, as I mentioned before, there's no encoder on the motor. Remember we saw the encoder on the gearbox? There's no encoder here, so it's easy inspection for the brake, easy access to the brake itself. For yearly inspections, we have 2 motor sizes in total for the whole hoist range. IP54 is standard, as we are used to for these type of applications. Great. So we can get into the electrics. Personally, for me, the more interesting part of it, but we are, of course, limited with time here today. I want to highlight some of the features that we have in here. So we have to consider, as I mentioned at the start, we have a hoist fit for function, out-of-the-box application. What we do have integrated into here as well is really high-quality products. So we have the new SMC4 multi-controller device, as mentioned. The complete control panel has now been moved from our famous green control panel into a central control panel onto the hoist here. And starting from the top left, we have the Magnatech inverter VFD for the hoisting motion controls. And on the right-hand side, we have the inverter for the travel inverter controls. And I'd just like to, of course, take this opportunity to mention a few facts about this. So what we have here is a variable speed control for the whole hoist unit, of course, is clear. But we also have some features and functionality in the background of these devices that offer good troubleshooting capabilities. So here, even though it's a closed system that I can't do any parameter changes to, adjust any settings without passwords and getting special access, on each of these devices, the inverter for the hoisting and for traveling and for the SMC, I have the capabilities to read out the fault history recorder. I have load monitoring applications, I have fault finding applications that I can read out. So I can read out the last 10 faults. The inverters offer a capability, should a fault occur, it makes a timestamp and gives me 10 parameters that I can read out and help me identify what was the cause of that fault. Furthermore, we have SMC, as I mentioned, SMC4 integrated into the system. You can see on the SMC4 itself down here, for those of you familiar with our products, this is the Modbus communication directly connected to the VFD. So all signals transferred from the SMC4 to the VFD. So the complete control, the brains of the hoist, is really now the SMC4. Exactly. In the SMC4, we have this load spectrum recorder. So Mark touched on it before, that the values of the hoist are recorded. So the full load values are recorded. And I can read these out for a yearly inspection and see exactly when the hoist may need to have a major overhaul or a major service, or see the remaining running life cycle left on my hoist. The whole system is plug-and-play configured with complete monitoring systems. And as I mentioned, the SMC4, the complete control unit for this hoisting application. And here we're seeing now a brief table of the UltraLift DLS functionality. Mark, please.
Yeah, so you see on the left-hand side the speed range, and on the lower side you see the load. And this curve is currently also a little bit subject to further improvement, but for the time being, so if you order a hoist, say today, you will get the 300% of speed up to a load of 10%, and then we are following the motor curve, because at 300% speed, representing 150 Hertz, or equivalent 4,500 revolutions per minute, we are in a position of the motor where we talk from the field weakening point. The field weakening point at these motors start approximately at 87 Hertz, going all the way up to 150 Hertz or 300%. So we need to reflect that in the SMC. We all do that in complete performance level C. So all the speed monitoring and load monitoring is done in a dual channel mode. So we have two kernels inside the SMC, and these two kernels are also interchanging the values to each other so that we can claim that performance level C. And this kernels, those processors, microprocessors, are also certified by TÜV. So we are following then the motor curve, and the bigger the load gets, all the way up to 100% load, we are then at 100% speed. That means in our case currently 50 hertz, resulting in those 3 meters per minute hoisting speed, as mentioned on the previous slide. Why we did that is simply we have recognized with all the older SMC evaluations we got that the higher the load is, the more inching and tripping the operator is using to position the load, even with VFD. And so we said, okay, anyhow, the bigger the load, the more cautious and careful load handling should occur. And we can go lower with that speed, because otherwise the operators anyhow jog, inch, and jerk around. As mentioned, it might be so that we go a little bit sharper in the curve the more experience we get with the systems. Currently, the motor torque actually is quite a good portion above that, so the safety is much more than 2 currently, even more with the 2-speed motors. So it might be so that when in future, without promise and therefore not shown here in written, but it could be that even 30% is handled with a high speed at the end. So as mentioned earlier, we are not ready with the development in that complete series. What we have launched today and what is available with Sales Manager is what you see here, but further improvements may happen soon.
Great, thank you. Yeah, last but not least, I did mention a few of these points, or highlight a few of the points that's available with the SMC4. So the SMC4 has been on the market for about 2 years now. It's an application-based device. Currently we use it for VFD applications on the SHF wire rope hoist, and of course now in this hoist here. One of the special features that this device brings with it, as Mark just touched on, is the safety relays. So the SMC4 is controlling the VFDs. It's also cutting the VFD off in the event of a fault through a safe relay. And Mark touched on it before. This is something very critical and a huge highlight for this device, making it really the brains of the device when we're looking at this type of application. Yeah. So the SMC4, exactly, it brings, Mark touched on it as well, it brings a lot of capabilities that we're used to or that you may be familiar with from the previous devices. So we have these load spectrum recorders in here. Of course, it's made possible through the SMC4, the load-dependent hoisting capabilities. Again here, for this particular device, I'd just like to mention we do have a new software here. The new software was needed to realize and to be able to view all of these rotation control parameters. So we have an encoder running through here now. It's a much complexer system that we have here. So we needed a new program to be able to view all those data sets and to be able to be a lot more flexible with the data itself. In this program, we have a live dashboard, so that means I can monitor all of the inputs and outputs, both digital and analog inputs and outputs. I can use this functionality for fault finding. It tells me exactly what faults have occurred or what the situations are from my sensor feedback signals. For example, from an end limit switch, am I in the end limit switch and my functionality is not working properly? Or is there a fault situation? On top of the functionality, such as rotation monitoring, and also the features that we had previously, we have integrated also into this device some new functionality, such as the ALC Plus functionality. What this does, it's an automatic load control. Some of you may be familiar with this. What that is automatic load control. If the load is lifted in a fast speed from the ground without tension on the rope, it shock loads the hoist. In this case, the SMC4 takes over the load, reduces the lifting speed to guarantee that the load is safely and securely in a slower speed lifted from the ground without shock loading the whole system.
Just one word, even that we are a little bit running out of time. The plus really stands for the quick reaction time here. So you might answer back saying, well, today's VFDs have that functionality in recognizing the current measurement and measuring also the torque of the motor quite the same way as you just outlined here. But when the torque and the current is already increasing, actually that's too late. What we phased out with our development the last 2 years is that the load sensor and the electronics in the safety chip in the SMC is much quicker than the reaction time of the VFD measuring tools inside the VFD like current. So if we just do it with the VFDs, they are all too slow. We need it much faster, otherwise the shock load by pulling a load from the ground with high speed with a VFD would result in shock load which is much bigger. With a SMC we can lower that down to a factor that is still manageable by the steel construction and the hoist itself. If you do that with a simple VFD without any overload device, especially in America, they do a lot of overload devices with a VFD. You easily come up with shock loads well above 200%.
Great. Thank you. Mark did touch on some of the options at the beginning of the presentation. Of course, we have also on the system outside radio controls. We have end limit switches for the travel directions, and we have documentation options here in the hoist configurator that's available. Where we are today, we're at the product launch. Product launch was officially yesterday, so phase 1A is complete. The hoist is available in the system. Further steps to come, as we mentioned already, will be a pole changing motor. We'll see, look forward to that release towards September, October, around that sort of time frame. With this system, we do have a lot of some technical changes onto the hoist itself. So what we are offering towards the end of the European summer anyhow, so we'll be offering a one-day training package on this hoist, specifically for this hoist. And different to what we've done in the past, we've offered training programs for the hoist and then for the condition monitoring devices. Here we'll be doing complete package, offering service, maintenance and inspection training on the hoist itself, also touching on to the fundamentals of the VFD controls, the condition monitoring systems, basically giving you a complete day's package training for this hoist series itself. Any inquiries, feel free to reach out either directly to myself or Mark. No, here you can see the email address. Reach out, definitely. It's a new product. We want to support you. We want the product to arrive with you well. There's a few changes and definitely we're happy to support with that. So at that point, I would really like to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to be here and to listening to the presentation this morning. I hope there was some interesting points for you on a technical point of view or on a basics point of view. As I said, my pleasure. Thank you very much and enjoy the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, Ricky. Now we heard a lot about the technical details of the new SXF wire rope hoist. And like Mark already mentioned, now we want to give you a short presentation about how to get this configured in our sales configurator Sales Manager. Who of you is using the Sales Manager today? Can you just give me a sign? Okay, some of you already do. Then I have some good news for you, as the new SXF as well as another new product, the crane kit with complete control, with or without energy chain, are now fully implemented into our configuration system. Those of you who know those systems may easily find those products intuitively. But even for the first time, when you search for it, it really makes sense to know exactly what are the appropriate entries to make to get it fast configured. And therefore, Klaus will give us a presentation in detail how this looks in the system itself. Klaus, please.
Thank you, Mario. Hello all together. I'm Klaus Hildebrandt, responsible for our product configurator, the sales manager from Stahl Crane Systems. And for all the people who know the sales manager, I like to introduce how to configure. And for all the others, maybe you like to configure it by your own and ask for access to the sales manager in future. So, with the first slide, you see the basic configuration, how to input the data to get the SXF hoist. You have several default settings with the system, and it's also possible to change it for your individual purposes. That means if you have a different standard voltage, for example, you can change it, and every new calculation will start with changed default settings. So now for the wire rope hoist configuration, there are only a few input data to get the product you're searching for. So first of all, the safe working load, of course, from 2 to 10 tons. This is the range for the SXF. You have to put one of these loads. Then the lifting height as a second input. And also, of course, it's the low headroom trolley. So this is the basic. So only this model, it's not available as a standard stationary hoist. So the low headroom trolley is the thing you're looking for. And finally, the flange width. You also saw the range we have for it. So in this example, we had this 300 millimeters to input, and at last you put the arrow for searching all the products. And now you will get a search result with all the hoists, and you see with the best pricing for inverter-controlled wire rope hoist is the SXF model. So in total, there are, of course, 44 models, but the SXF are on top as the most economical ones. So if you click on the magnifying glass, you will see technical details and also how the price components are included for this product. This next step, you will see the base model is already configured. On the right side, you have additional buttons for additional information. The question mark on the top will open a help page for the configuration, and the CAD button will open a field to get a CAD model in really several different formats, from 2D, 3D, PDF, all different formats are available, and you can download this CAD file, save it locally, and forward, including your offer to the customer. The next button is the button for the standard delivery times. This is linked to our homepage, and you can check the delivery times. And the third, the technical data sheet buttons. So we have in 3 languages the technical data sheets available. It's also additional document you can save locally and provide to your customer. I hope it's not too fast. But all the people who are working with the program all the time, they know it's the same way as with all other products with our configurator tool. So if you go to the next slide for the options, you have several options available, but it's a focus on the most needed options that are all things to make it more economical and to increase the lead times. So the product has, with the complete control, for example, also the radio control available as an option. And yes, the way of doing is very similar to all the other products. So very fast to the SXF model. The SXF model is configurable as a single hoist, as with this example, but it's also included to the crane kit configurations for the overhead cranes and also for the monorail cranes and the chip cranes. And it's also possible to get these crane kit configurations for the monorail, for example, with the energy, with the conductor bar line. So the other product already mentioned for Mario is the complete control. The complete control is one thing we had first experience with the big project you see here outside from Haslinger. This is the first step for the complete control, and to show it how to configure, it makes sense to show it within a crane kit configuration. If you like to configure as a solo component, it's also available, but you need much more technical details and requirements to do it as a single configuration. So also for different components, it makes sense, from my point of view, to make a crane kit and then to look for the single components only. So if you start to configure a crane kit and looking for the complete control, you have to go for the double girder crane or for the boogie crane execution. This is the first step. For these big cranes and applications, we included the complete control. So select the double girder or the boogie and select loads beginning from 8 tons, because we have it created for hoist motors beginning from H72 motors up to the bigger ones. Also, the other input data are several default values as the voltage and the ambient conditions. Then you can select for the hoisting the 2-speed and the inverter speed for the complete control, and the traveling will always be inverter controlled. So with this input data, you're able to select also the complete control. It's marked on point 3. So next interesting part, including the complete control, we have also added the energy chain on the bridge. So this was off standard up to now, but with this step, we added also the energy chain, and you can change from festooning system on bridge to the energy chain. Also one interesting point, the energy chain with ambient temperatures, standard -10 to +40, will have an better wire material. So if you go up to +50 degrees to 40, it's possible to get a more economical cabling, and so the system will be more economical at all. So you see on the tab for electrical components, there is the possibility to select the energy chain. And if the system runs through and the calculation is done, finally, you can create an Visio sketch to see all the dimensions, to see how the energy chain will be included. And this is a very common document also to save locally, to provide to the customer. And with one of the next steps, we will add also the CAD files for this system, but currently you have to go for the Visio sketch. I guess it was very fast, but maybe the next will need the time also, so thank you for your kind attention. For any question, please contact us, contact our teams, support sales tools at StarCranes, or ask me or Mario here during our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Klaus.
Mario, it's yours.
So what I want to do is now I want to just give you a short outlook what is happening with our sales system in the future. For sure, we will continue to add new products in it. For sure, we will continue to optimize it. Regarding the existing configurations, we will try to add new functions like you're used to have it the last years as well. But one of our main focuses now is to bring the system on a new platform, on a new system structure. What means we want to get rid of this client-server installation, what we have today. What means for you, you only can get access via Citrix. I know for all of you, it's somehow a little bit a pain in the ass. It's the same for us as well. You need to download the app, you need to install it, you get problems with your IT department as you're not allowed to do that on your business laptops, whatever. It's a lot of administration work for us as well, so we want to get rid of that. That's the good news. The bad news is this takes a little time. So we already started the project to do exactly that. And the goal is to get a web-based solution for all the functions and all the configurations as you know it. We want to not invent something totally new, that you have to learn how the configuration works from the scratch. No, we want to take what we have, bring it in the web, have the same kind of usability, the same look and feel, and then provide it to you. This gives us much more flexibility for the future. We can include other informations as well, as we can much more integrate other systems there. And for sure, we also can integrate our configurations much better into other systems. One, for example, is the customer portal, the CMCO customer portal. Maybe you have seen the booth outside. There, John van der Linden is presenting this customer portal, and that's also a goal what we want to achieve with that change. We want to bring our products in there. And that's more or less the second step of that project what we already started. I cannot say when this directly will happen, but that's definitely the future and where we want to go with our product. So I only can encourage you to use the Sales Manager also in future. I think we have a good tool there. We are competitive with that, and we will as well use the existing system as long as this is necessary, and then we want to have the change directly without using both systems in parallel. But let's see how this will work exactly in future. We will inform you when it is so far. So thank you very much for your attention. Like Klaus already said, if you have any questions about that, please come to us, talk to us. We are here. You will find out outside. Thank you very much.
All right. Warm welcome to everyone from my side. Let's talk about a topic that is already broadly discussed and pretty important for everyone that brings machinery in the market in the EU. So let's talk about the machinery regulation in short. Just a quick introduction for those people who don't work very often with this topic. What do we need it for? So you have the regulation to, or with this regulation, the EU gives you specifications and hints on how to create or design safe machinery to be able to have a common standard within all of Europe in terms to safety of the machines. So now a little explanation on those specific descriptions before we start over in the detail. So we come from a machinery directive. A directive is different to a regulation in this term that it needs to be transposed in national law in the first place. In Germany, for example, this is the Product Safety Act. Whereas a regulation is right from the start valid in every member state and does not require that national transposition. Why do we need that new machinery regulation? So the old machine directory was released 17 years ago, and as discovered yesterday, we already faced major evolution in terms of KI, digitalization, and therefore also new risk on those machines appeared. And doing that, you need to update your regulations as well to cover all those risks to be able to provide safe machinery to the market. Therefore, also, we have new potentially risky machines that are covered in Appendix 1. I will come to that a little closer afterwards. So now let's start with the actual amendments. Let's start with a term that is called substantial modification. What is that? So if you get a machine that already has a CE sign on it and you do some modifications, you need to see if you created new risks doing this modification, and you need to see if you can minimize this risk with a simple protective device. If you can answer, or if this is given, you basically have a substantial modification to your machine, and therefore you have some consequences to face. Anyone who does substantial modifications is considered as a manufacturer and has the same obligations as him. Therefore, if you do so, you need to ensure that the machine is according to the machinery regulation, and you have to perform a new conformity assessment as well. So you can see that also in this picture. So basically there is always the question, do I have a new hazard? Does the hazard lead to new risk? Are my available protective measures sufficient? And can I eliminate the risk with simple protection devices? If somebody is interested, we can also share this picture. I think it's a great opportunity if you face such a challenge. Now coming to the biggest point, basically, which is the digital user manual, declaration of conformity, or documentation in general. With the machinery regulation, you are allowed to provide your documentation in digital form. But of course, you have to observe some points to do so. You need to place your QR code or your RFID chip or whatever either to the machine itself, to the associated product, the packaging, or accompanying document that comes along with the machine. The customer must be able to download it, to print it, or to save it somewhere so he's able to access it from anywhere, especially in case when the machine fails or something like that. And of course, a machine lasts some years, or hopefully, and therefore you need to provide the data for the predicted lifetime of the machine, but at least for 10 years. And now the last, but one of the most important points, the customer still has the right to ask for a printed version of your documentation. And if he does so, you need to provide it to him within 1 month and free of charge. Let's talk a little about the conformity assessment procedure. Basically, so the main part that everyone is taking account of when releasing products. So using harmonized standards or parts of them stays still valid. So you design your product, you use harmonized norms to do so, you do your risk assessment afterwards, you collect your documentation, and then you create your CE conformity declaration in the end. That is still valid. What is new is the presumption of conformity by a technical specification. This is specifically related to products that don't have certain standardized or harmonized norms yet, but the EU is handing out certain specifications, and if you apply to those specifications, you can carry out the same, let's say, more simplified procedure as I mentioned before. Let's take a look at that. So on the left side, you see, as I mentioned in the beginning, your machinery is not listed in Annex 1, so you comply with your essential health and safety requirements. You do your internal production control, prepare technical documentation, and then you attach the EU conformation of conformity and put the CE marking on your product. Compared to that, on the more right side, you have the procedure for a Annex 1 product. So what doesn't fall out is the essential health and safety requirements, but to be sure that your product meets the given regulations, you have to either do the EU type examination, which is more common with ATEX products or stuff like that, or you have to do full quality assurance, like mentioned in Module H, or you have to do a unit verification. Doing so, you can slide back into the usual process. So now comes the special part. If you see that one of your machines falls into Annex B, or Part B of Annex 1, sorry, you can go to that point with the specification, and that allows you to get rid of all what is on the right side, which takes a lot of money and time and nerves to do so. Some of you might face that. It's not fun to do so. So it is a great chance by the EU to minimize your efforts. I talked about digitalization and KI in the beginning. So what comes along with that in terms of the machinery regulation? They integrated risk from AI, and there is indeed a separate machinery, a separate regulation on AI, but the machinery regulation nevertheless includes some points that you need to take care of. In fact, partially or full self-developed learning falls under Annex 1. So if you have a machine that has self-learning functions, you need to take a deeper look, and you need to do the full assessment as shown in the previous slides. So then there's IT safety and security requirements for control systems. As a manufacturer, you need to make sure that at any time nobody is able to enter the system to do any harmful actions or to perform any harmful actions or to be able to change the system in a way so that it performs harmful actions by itself. And that is also related to software, or they extended it to also focus on software and software updates. Looking at our nice cobot outside, we also see the point of human-machine interaction, which is also now included and gives you new risks to take a look at when you consider putting a cobot or something similar into your machine, or working together with such a robot. So now, last but not least, let's talk about transition periods. Machinery regulation was already released in 2023. So basically, if you feel confident that your product complies with the machinery regulation, you can feel free to already put it on your CE declaration of conformity right now. If not, you can use the old machinery directive until the 19th of January in 2027, because the full scope of the machinery regulation applies from the 20th of January. So that sounds quite clear, but what about some folks who create or who produce big series of products? In this case, so if you are not certain if your product enters the market on 19th of January or 20th of January, you can put both the machinery directive as well as the machinery regulation on your CE conformity declaration. Therefore, you have a little space to not be forced to anything that may be not applied at that date where the product is released to the market. With that being said, that would be the end of my little presentation. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask.
Good morning, everybody. So, let's start with the next presentation. My name is Timo Kircher, and I do the full-time work as a project engineer in the office in Ettlingen. As a sideline, I'm supporting our sales tool, sales manager, in crane technology. So I have prepared for today a presentation about the various concepts of crane control systems. I would like to talk about the complete control system, which is called KSK, which is available in our configurator since a few months. And I would like to talk about also, let's say, about the bits and bytes of a complete control system, which contains a PLC, a programmable logical controller. We call it KSKS. This comes from the German translation, but okay, we store the S for the PLC. Using some application examples, I will show you what we have realized in the last time. And last but not least, a few words about the feature components. We as Stahl Crane Systems, we distinguish between two basic crane control concepts. On the right side, on the left side, on your left side, you see the divided control. This is good for simple applications like workshop cranes or maintenance cranes. The divided control system contains the main supply and all the travel devices for the crane travels. This is mounted at a crane bridge. All devices for the hoist and the hoist or the trolley travel are installed in the box at the hoist. That means this box contains to the hoist. The complete control on the other stream is slightly for more demanding requirements. For example, if more accessibility is needed, or an easier service of maintenance, or even if the space for the hoist itself is limited. With a complete control, special designs for example, rough ambient conditions can be realized better or more compactly. Just think about the temperature issues. If you have to install air conditioning, this is much more easier to do this with one control cabinet instead of two. So in these complete control systems, all components are installed, main supply, crane travel, and the parts for the hoist. Usually, we design this KSK in the middle as a hardwired and conventional control system. However, if there is a requirement for a more modern or modular complete control system for demanding crane applications, this is designed as a programmable logic controller, which is called KSKS. More about this I will tell you later on over next slides. Firstly, I would like to dive into the configuration of the crane configurator sales manager. What is here? The package. So let's have a look. For the configurable hardwired complete control system, we have focused on a specific crane type, which is shown here. So this is the larger ones with higher capacities. This was our basic start to implement in the configurator. You see here in the graphic the big arrangement of control cabinets, because we have now all in one arrangement. All what the crane is needed is containing there. In the current configuration, it's possible to select one hoist. To expand to a tandem application is under construction, so this will come, I guess, this year. From the hoist size of 8 tons upwards, you can choose between festoon cable as power supply for a hoist, or even an energy chain like is shown here in this slide. For larger series, thick cable cross sections are needed, and then we go directly with the energy chain because it's more effective. In our package for the configuration, we just select frequency control drives for crane moving, hoist moving, and hoisting it. To keep it simple and lean, we have a crane for more demanding applications, then this is the solution. On the right side, a small table, small overview, where you can see the hoist types and the capacities. We start approximately at 8 tons. For insiders, we start with the hoist motor H71. And there you can choose between festoon and energy chain. For the bigger ones, from the AS7 twin hoist upwards, it's just possible to select the energy chain, or the configurator selects the energy chain. If you want to read more about this, you can check out our marketing portal plus. There is a flyer showing all these details. Okay. The bigger brother of this conventional hardwired complete control system is the KSKS. Instead of conductor technology, a PLC is used there. You see here a rough overview. The main topic is only sensors and actors are located in the hoist. Everything else is located in the complete control. The signals and information of the hoist are collected in the decentralized periphery at the hoist, and from there they will be transmitted by Profinet or even ProfiSafe for safe signals to the crane control. And the PLC in the crane control is the brain of the crane. In addition to the bus lines containing this Profinet and ProfiSafe, we need only power cables for the motors and the speed sensors due to some safety topics. So that means there are no classic control cables needed. Maybe you imagine for complex applications, there can be quite a lot of them. We take the bus. There are a lot of seats inside of this bus system. all information can be sit in this bus. You all know Big Brother? I guess you are. Big Brother monitors and makes people's life transparent. With our KSKS concept, this concept offers similar possibilities. But I think these possibilities on the technique are much more positive than in the real Big Brother. That means we had the condition monitoring of the most important functions and components of the crane under control in this PLC. That makes all this information transparent for the operators, for the maintenance staff, or even the service technicians, depending on their access level they have. Thanks to an HMI display, the human-machine interface, with plain text messages, makes it very easy for the operator to be connected with the crane. This is important if you have some failures, you have to search, you have to repair something. That means our concept is, on our crane, is ideally equipped for the integration for a higher level PLC at side of the customer. And we are ready with this for automated applications. Depending on the application, additional signals may need to be processed. This is no problem, thanks to the expandable I/O modules in this control. We can see what we have realized with this kind of concept in 4 orders, which are implemented last year and will be implemented this year. Such concept using a PLC always offers its advantage when a high degree of complexity, data transfer, control technology, or connectivity is needed. In the first case, and I believe you know this first case because it was mentioned several times yesterday and today, safety was on top of the list for the load summation and the crane tandem. And the big specialty of this project was the complexity. We had to handle 8 different modes of operation: single hoist, reduced load, tandem, reduced load, and several things. So that means it was a very complex stuff to handle, and this kind of computing was helping us. This was a new project, a new crane. But even old cranes, existing systems, can be upgraded with such systems. In the second case, we upgraded 2 cranes to a high level of safety in crane tandem operation. The data transfer between crane 1 and crane 2 is realized with industrial Wi-Fi, without cable. We all here in the room, not that much, but thanks to be here, we let us help from computers with computing tasks. So a PLC helped a crane, a multi-girder span crane in Sweden, to ensure that all the crane travel drives work synchronously. For automated applications, information is constantly exchanged between the crane, like current conditions, healthy information, and at site with the mother PLC of the customer. In the last example, we had a crane which loads 14 containers independently on demand of the mother PLC of the customer. That means the customer has the requirement, please fill one load in the bath number, the container number 13, gives this demand, and the crane goes in automatic mode to do this job. You can see here in this list what a huge field can be handled with the right basis. Simulations or even integration tests can be executed long before the crane is built physically. And that's essential for a smooth commissioning at site. Finally, a few words about the components we are using for this concept. So we use, on the one hand, tried and tested products which are known in the market. On the other hand, we have our software, which can be reused. That means for new projects, we can reuse the old modules of software to be very effective. The heart of this control system is a Siemens PLC S7 with this HMI display in 10-inch. The software is self-made, it's written in-house. This gives us the advantage to be very reactive of customers' wishes. The components are connected for standard signals, Profinet, for safe signals, ProfiSafe. This can be executed by a cable, by a bus cable, or even by industrial Wi-Fi. As a basic equipment for such a type of crane, we need a position detection. We, as Stahl, use regularly the WCS or a radar. For the technology, for detecting the traversing and the long traveling. The hook position is detected by safety rotary encoder. Our system, Magnetec, is serving the frequency drives, and state-of-the-art 2-channel load sensors reliably detect the load. So, if I now woke up your interests for crane with software, with these slides, I would like to invite you to make a visit in our Lighthouse project over there. There you can see a demonstrator. Impress yourself with this example, the Donau Hydro plant, power plant in Jochenstein, and get an idea of our own written HMI on this demonstrator to be connected with such crane. Thank you for listening. See you later on the demonstrator.
So good morning, everyone. So I hope some of you have interest to talk about the battery hoist. And so I was asked to prepare something for today, and I thought, what might interesting be? As I told yesterday, the battery hoist is really one of the most successful products. I mean, over 20 years in the company, have global responsibilities for several products, but also EMEA and Europe for the power chain hoist. And I can tell you in 20 years, and I launched a lot of products with my teams, we never had such a success. And even I was really doubting at the beginning, when we did the specifications with Milwaukee together, if this product is really finding its way to the market. Because, I mean, $3,000 or euros as a list price for product-wise, that you can also partly solve with the manual product with a couple of 100 euros. So, but I can tell you and I can show you samples. We see that a lot of customers overwhelming us because they are willing to pay this, let's say, net 2,500 euros instead of 500 for a manual hoist because they see the value. And the value is so much more than we expected when we developed the product, that, yeah, basically we try to find out where application. And I decided I want to show you today applications for the hoist that help you to find customers who are interested in it. And at the end of the presentation, I give you some added value that we just, let's say, defined and developed 2 weeks ago, just to extend the opportunities that the hoist has. Yeah, so that is my last slide. That gives you some idea what you can do more, and I give you also an example for customers who are willing then to invest into this product. Let me start. This is just the opening slide. I mean, all the features, you know. My message is always, this hoist is so heavy like a box of beer, you know. If you, and the brand is not interesting, but a box of beer, if you lift it, it's about 20 kilogram, yeah. So this is the weight of the hoist, and you lift 1 ton, and this is, I think, the big difference. 1 ton is a Volkswagen Beetle with 2 passengers is 1 ton weight approximately. So imagine heavy like a box of beer, and you're lifting a complete car with 2 people. So and this is really the great, let's say, unique perspective that hoist offers to the market. So it's really compact, light, and you have a variety of use. And a lot of customers ask me, hey, you show the hoist inverted. Is it a new hoist? No, I say it's the same hoist, because we learned from our entertainment market that it's possible also to use the hoist inverted, so that you can put the hook at the top and you lift the entire hoist like this entertainment hoist under the roof show. So, and this makes the hoist very universal, usable, right? You can pull horizontal, vertical, you can use it upside down in every axle, and I think customers have now ideas what they do with it, more ideas than we had when we developed the product. And this is a little bit part of the success. So when we did this product, basically this slide is telling you we had the classical market for manual chain hoist on the top, small, easy to carry, no power supply, but it's really physical demanding if you work with a manual hoist. Yeah, but people use it because there are a lot of work application, shipyards, you have mining application, there's no power, you need this hoist. Even when they wind turbines, they adapt the turbine and try to nivellate the weight of the turbine in the windmill. They're using under the big crane lever tools or hand chain hoist to balance the load. So you see this application everywhere. So there is a need for manual hoist, even if we're living in a smart technology world. And then we have the power hoist, classic one. You have a jib crane, a light rail system, and you have a crane under the hook. Under the roof. And so these are the classical applications. So when we did the battery star, we simply pushed something in between. So, and we did a mix of both, right? Now we had a small, easy portable hoist, but also with power, yeah, what was easy to use. So, and you might ask, okay, where's my application now? Because the application are classically, you have the fixed points, you have the flexible points, and this is exact what I want to talk about you. So where are the application for the battery star? So in here I put a slide together where a lot of application shown. There's service and maintenance. There are others I come later, and I show you an example where we see the battery hoist today with service application. So here's a good sample. That is the service application where they replace a motor of a wire rope crane. So it's crane service basically. So we get requests from crane service companies to say, we want to have this hoist for doing the crane service because it's more economic, it's easier for us. So that is helping us, this tool. And we say, what do you use until now? They say manual products partly. So that's a big, big sample where one market is, where one niche is. I give you another idea, very interesting. I never thought about that before. So fire brigades and technical relief organization. So you might ask what they're doing with that, because they have usually, you see on the right side, there's a cable puller they have as a standard product, but they're very interested to have also very modern art of way of acting, more ergonomical. So what does that mean? How do you get to these customers? Because they have these trucks, and the trucks are very clear stored. And if you don't fit in the space, you're not interesting, even if your product is perfect. So we talked to them, and they said, well, if you fit your hoist in one of the standardized boxes, then we are willing to buy the hoist. So easy said, but easy done. So what we did basically, we developed a foldable hook. Now we fit in the box, and now we're interesting for them. So, but this is a sample out of Germany. So, and I think there are a lot of markets where we need to bring that on the table and to say, hey, do you have a similar application? We are able to modify the hoist that it is even easier to transport. Yeah? Just to give you an idea what we are capable to do. Then another interesting thing I found, sewage treatment plants. We all know them, we all have them. What I found out, these pumps, they regularly have to get pulled up and they get cleaned. Worldwide, they do this job. So, and how they're doing that, you see a lot of applications. You see on the right side, you see with a hand chain hoist, then most likely gantry cranes, so they want to have flexible solutions. So, our hoist would work here, I think. And again, we found the first customer said, yeah, cool, let me replace the hoist I have today because I want to have a flexible hoist. I want to use it on this truck, on that truck. So I need something that I can use in various conditions, not just in one. Yeah? And it's very convenient for them because they have to inspect regularly all the pumps. Yeah? There are chain on the pumps that you can pull them out, clean them, repair them, do maintenance, put them again in the place. So seems to be also great application. Again, these are just examples, but I think it's very interesting for you. Where are the hoists used? Because we're learning it right now from our customers. The next situation is basically mobile lifting situation at all. And you see a lot of application. And I found a lot of application in the web where our hoists are used. Like here's this gantry cranes that a sailing boat is pulling, yeah, with a year lift 360. And then you see a year lift 360 there above on the crane. And this is very interesting. I found this was from the UK, who are using also a year lift because they're lifting a turbine for a high-speed car when they weigh over this, this ice lakes, when they do the high-speed records. So a lot of applications where people use also manual hoist, but also on the right side you see a powered hoist. But what is the disadvantage? You need for this mobile solution power basically. And if you don't have power, you need an electrified, qualified person to install the power. All this is not necessary if you have a battery hoist, right? So here's a great example for the flexible solution. We have also video outside running. So how quick you can install the gantry crane, pulling it out of the car. So this is from Reed, a partner from us, the crane, and they build up the crane in 30 seconds or so, then they attach the hoist and they're ready to work. So I think these are great applications and tells also there is no limit. Customers find applications themselves. It's really interesting. We're learning, and I just try to share this information with you because I found out it's helping us really to define the application where we can offer this product to. Yeah? And lastly, this is something I want to tell you, entertainment. Their application, and now not everybody is really in the entertainment business here, most of you in the industrial business, but also their applications where not our big hoists that we're offering, so where small hoists used just for exhibitions where they lift up something. Yeah? Then you have manual hoist most likely. Also here is a demand for battery hoists. In the US, we're selling already into this market. In Europe, openly spoken, we don't have right now demand. But I just want to give you this idea what this is about, okay? So last slide, I told you there will be a surprise. And the surprise is just, I think it's 2 weeks old, that I pushed engineering to think about exceed the limits of a battery hoist. So if you look in our brochures and catalogs, you find out we are limited to 6-meter lift. Yeah, this is our standard. Or we go up then to 18 meter. So this is now really new information and will scale our opportunity to use the hoist for other applications. I give you a sample in a second. So what we did basically, we let run the hoist and reduce the capacity. So what you see, when you reduce the capacity, the lifting high, and we talk about a cycle by the way, so up and down. Yeah, so that means by 500 kilogram, you have already 40-meter lifting cycle. That means 40 meter up, 40 meter down. And you can do that with one battery. So if you go lower, it goes higher. But to be open with you, think about it, 2.4 meter per minute speed. So that means if you do it with a quarter ton, then you can drink more than one coffee until the load is really up to, what is it, 100 meter. Yeah? So that makes no sense anymore. But we have already customers, like I showed you the crane on the truck. He said, I have a crane who has only 750 kilogram load capacity. If I use your hoist, I risk to damage my crane because your hoist can pull 1 ton. Can you limit that? Can you do a capacity reduction? So this is also possible, it's also new. So we can offer a capacity reduction, so we lower the overload limiter and we put another workload in so that we don't overstretch the structure of the crane where the customer is using it. So these are the both news I just sharing with you, and that leads to new application because we now can reach over this 20-meter max. And the sample I want to give you is, we have an elevator manufacturer in Austria who acquired a couple of months ago. You want to have some hoist for doing maintenance in elevator shafts. And he had a lift of 30 meters. So we were limited to 20. We were out of the game. So now we went back to him and say, hey, we can do it, but sorry, we need to limit the capacity. And he said, well, that's fine. I only need to lift 400 kilogram. Solved. And this is, I think, the message I want to give you. There are a lot of more applications outside where we all don't know what the customers have for ideas, but what shows the universality of the hoist. Yeah? And with that, I'm pretty much at the end. I'm still open for a couple of questions if you have some. So, but with the presentation, I'm there. So thank you. Yeah, we have two, thank you, it's good. So the question is the overload device. We have two overload devices in the hoist combined. One is an electrical one, and one is a mechanical one that you know from a electric chain hoist or a manual chain hoist. So what we do, if we limit it, we use to manipulate the manual one. And the electric one is then our backup. So we have redundant safety, but the manual one is that we usually then adjust to another capacity. Thank you. Another question? How long does it charge? So we found out that you can, with the fast charging, there are different chargers from Milwaukee. There's a fast charging station. You can do it within 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. When you have an ordinary charging station that we're offering with the hoist as a standard, then it takes up to 45, sometimes 50 minutes. Good question. Down rating the hoist, does it affect the price? I don't know yet, to be open. The reason is just, I got this information last week where the engineering tested, and I need to find out now with the team what is the FO, because we need to grind off the capacity, what is on the hook, and need hammer in the new one. Yeah, because this the standards are telling, right, and this is a little fee that will be on, and I have to see what are the costs if we do that neutral or if we need to get a little bit fee for that. It will be not much. We're talking about a single percentage, yeah, but there might be a little bit addings because we have more work labor to do this. adjusting the slip clutch and doing then the change of the capacity labels and all the documentation. So can you adjust it yourself? Well, it depends. Let me answer it so. Yeah? It depends on your capabilities that you have as partner. Yeah? Because I know we have partners who do servicing hoist, who do the maintenance themselves, and I would say for these partners we can give a kit. So that means you get probably the hook and everything with the other capacity, and we give you an instruction basically. Yes, I think if you do service or hoist, you are able to do that as well, because that's part of the slip clutch setting you do also when you do servicing. So yeah, but there are of course small partners who probably not capable to do that. I hope I answered it. Can you repeat it, please? I'm not sure that I get the question really fully. So what you're saying is when you're lowering the load? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we have no energy recovering process in this hoist. That is not the case. Yeah, so like a pedal electric or so. What I can tell you that the most energy the hoist consumes when it is lowering, because the brake is taking the most energy, and the brake is creating the. Just to get you a feeling, when we did our tests with that long lifting length, the temperature of the hoist inside, we had sensors there of the brake could reach up to 280 degrees. So if the hoist really gets to the hottest temperature, then there is an over temperature sensor who will cut it off. And just to get you a feeling, when we did this and test to this close to 300 degrees, it needs 2 hours to get to ambient temperatures of 20 degrees again. So it's maybe interesting. I don't know if I answer your question well enough, but we have no recuperation or something like that in the hoist. So the energy basically vanished. Yeah. But I think it's interesting for you to know if a customer is calling and say, hey, my hoist is hanging in the air and it's not moving anymore, and probably he's overusing it because he's over the limits. Yeah, he put an own chain in, and then he has a problem, and then you can say what you did, and then you say, oh yeah, I lift, I don't know, 80 meters, I put an own chain, and you can say calm down, wait a while until it's cool. It doesn't need to cool down to 20 degrees, of course. It will start earlier again, but then the overheat sensor attacks and will shut down the hoist. You need to wait a while, and then you can activate the hoist again. And the time is depending a bit from the ambient temperature and how hot it is, of course, in the region. So in Saudi Arabia, it will take longer than probably in East Europe. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's an important info, I think, that you should know. Yes, we have. Yeah. Yes, we have spare parts available for the hoist, but compared to our products that you used to buy from us, they're very limited. And the reason is, you know and heard probably that we did this hoist in cooperation with Milwaukee Tools, okay? And that is something that for me as product manager is difficult really, because Milwaukee deliver us combined kits, yeah? And I know already we had some issues that, for instance, in the operations, the cables get outside the housing and get clamped and damaged a bit. So we asked, can we just exchange the cables? Can we get them? Then Milwaukee said, no, you need to buy this internal motor with this. Yeah? So yes, spare parts there, but not in the details like you used to it from manual and powered chain hoists from us. Sorry, no, it's, can you? No, thank you. Can you use it to lift people? No, it's not classified to lift people. This is only for material handling. Yeah. That's it. Any more question? Otherwise, I'm around here. You can grab me and just ask me. I'm there. And otherwise, yeah, please. I have a bad sound here, I have to say. Can you speak louder, please? Yes. So motor protection was the question. IP54, yes. Because, maybe let me add this, because all the electrics are capsuled, yeah, so that there's no humidity getting to the electrics. Of course, chain guide and these things are open, so there will be get water in, but it will not damage and influence the way how the hoist is working. Yeah. So all the electronics are really sealed to IP54. Yeah. Thank you. Any more question? If not, thank you for your attention and for your great questions. And again, please, if you see me outside, don't be shy. Come to me. I'm open. I'm always happy to have direct dialogues, to get some inputs also. And if some of you are interested and want to see the hybrid hoist, what goes a bit in the direction, I addressed it yesterday, please contact me or your sales contact, yeah, because we have it a little bit hidden in the background. There's a room, there are the hoist. I had already a couple of customers there that I guided there, and it's really interesting about the feedback. Because I personally believe it's a very simple idea, and the customer feedback I got these days is that it's easy to sell for the distribution, and that there are a lot of applications in the industry similar to the battery hoist, but on a lower level. So therefore, please let me advertise that. Ask me, and I show it to you, or go to your contact, okay? Thank you. So the next topic, I'm still seeing I have another topic, risk and boundary areas. This is about manual products and the risks that we see as manufacturer. That's a very tricky topic because we as a company are 150 years dealing with manual products. Yeah? And I'm globally responsible for these products. And I can tell you, they're all based on the same principle, and they're all used in various applications. I want to tell you about some risks you should know, yeah, what we learned as a company by developing these products. And I think there's a little bit of gray zone in the market, and I just want to get your attention on this, that you know that this exists. So there are a lot of applications who are used in that way. You see multi-linked versions, so they use it to nivellate it, right? To position it. Then you see the sample I showed you. Here are 4. I think this is Yale Uno Plus. You can't see it right. There's a big crane, of course. But what the guys are doing, if they put the generator into the wind turbine, they need to balance it so that they can really mount it perfectly. And that they're doing by hand. Isn't it interesting? I mean, this is how much costs this windmill, and they're doing it with manual products, and it shows just how important it is. Yeah, here on the right side, you see that in big. Then this is a picture I found also interesting. When they install the stairs in the Walmarts and whatever, they do it with manual products and also with powered hoist. Also, they have to balance it. They don't can bring a crane in because the building exists already, and they replace the roll stairs, and they do that then with hoists. They handle them through the building, and then they try to level this, okay? And why I'm showing you the samples? These samples are showing a lot of applications that are, if you ask the safety and healthy regulations, are really in a gray zone. Why is that? Because they all have a mechanical load brake. And yes, we can be proud as Columbus McKinnon that this guy, Thomas Aldrich, is the inventor of the Western brake that all powered chain hoists and manual hoists use. And that is the company Yale that we own. So, but the flip side is the mechanical brake works if there's a load on a hoist, right? If you have a load, the brake closed. So what happens if you release the load? Then the brake opens. You would say, okay, that's fairly everywhere so. With all our competitors, Keto, Tractel, whoever, they all have the same problem or advantage, however you want to see it. So back to the application you saw on the page before. So I showed you multi-rigging rigs. So if you have more than 2, 3 hoists on a rig, what happens? If you have suddenly a shock load, if you have a drop load, if the load is shrinking. I tell you one sample. We're lifting from Airbus the turbines. Yeah? And the turbines are lifted with 4 hoists. And what they're doing is, for maintenance, they're lowering the turbines from the wings. And I show you a picture at the end of the presentation. And they lower them very carefully. And Airbus has no interest in quick powered hoists. They want to control it because this damn turbine cost about 80 million euros. So they want to control the process. But here's the point. Once a day, they had the problem that 4 operators were lowering with a mechanical hoist the turbine, and the operator who were on the front did it a bit quicker, in the back a bit slower. And you see a turbine in front of you. Yeah? In the front you have the propeller, it's very fat, it's big. In the end, it's very slim. There where the exhaust comes out. So that means if you look at the gravity of this turbine, it's in the front. Can you imagine what happens if they didn't lower at the same level? The turbine flipped and it was on the ground like a cup of coffee. Yeah? That was the $80 million damage, and we got a call. Say, hey, your hoists are used. You have a problem. So we looked at it, and fortunately the court came to the same decision. No, it's not the problem of the hoist, it's the problem of the application. Because the hoist can't do anything for it if there's no load on it, and that happens with the turbine. Because the back hoist at the turbine get released, the front hoist gets a full load. So what happens? The front hoist were overloaded and the back hoist opens the brake because they have no load anymore. So and then the turbine makes bam. Okay, that's the problem. And that's the problem of all the application I showed you before. Does it happen often? Occasionally, I would say. Do we hear that often, see that often? No, just when we have an accident, when something happens like with Airbus, when something happens with other big accidents. Safety health organizations know that, but they don't have a solution for it. And what that happens, by the way, these are all impacts that basically cause issues with the Western brake. So think about it. If you have a destroyed ratchet disc, like on the picture on the top, how shall the hoist brake? The poles can't engage, so the hoist makes down to the earth with the load. Yeah? What if you have a lot of corrosion because you work in a humidity environment, yeah, outside? A lot of hoists, like in the utility business, where they do the power lines hanging outside, so they get rusty. So a rusty hoist means that the pole and the internal system is sticky. It's like with glue. So now you operate with the hoist. It opens, and because everything is rusty, the whole function of the mechanics doesn't work anymore. It's everything mechanical. So what does it mean? It doesn't engage anymore, the system doesn't work anymore, the load is releasing. Bang! Accident. All standard, all products doing that, all manual ones. Overgreased. We have customers who send back hoists. We look into the hoist and we see, wow, did you put the whole hoist in a bin of grease? Oh yeah, we put a little bit more grease on it. Problem, because if the grease gets to the brake disc, it's like on a car. The brake has no reason to brake anymore. Yeah? So again, the hoist will drop the load. and yeah, some other samples here. So then I need to point out another point. So I talked about damage, about wrong service that will happen. Let's talk about load cases. So the Western brake is an idle product if you have load and it closed. And I said, remember to what I said. When you unload it, the brake goes open and it doesn't brake. So what about all these load cases? Cycle load, pulsating load, shock load. Think about Airbus. There was shock load. The turbine was shrinking, then suddenly came back. The hoist was overloaded, and the back the hoist was not able to close the brake anymore. These are milliseconds that the brake has to react. If the brake is open, and I can tell you we did tests with this, and you release the load, with the gravity you have so much speed that both poles on a manual hoist are not able to catch the ratchet disc anymore. The hoist will not brake. And if the mechanics of the poles get into the ratchet disc, I can assure you that the speed is so fast that the poles simply get sheared off. You will say, wow, these are problems. Well, yes, these are problems, but you need these effects. Do they happen often? No, but they are there. Therefore, I'm talking about a gray zone. Safety and Health knows about that. They say, we don't have enough accidents to say we have a problem, but there are applications who have this more and applications have this less. Think about the hoist we have outside for the utility business. They have more the problem. When you install a power line, they have dynamics, pulsating loads. Then they have corrosion due to the humidity because the hoists are used outside. All the effects, and suddenly you have a hoist that is not working. It happens. We had an accident years ago in Germany with the hoist. Therefore, we developed something. I come to that on the next slides. So you might ask, and I think I explained it already, there are different failures, and here just scenarios. I said the ratchet poles are not engaging. The brake is not holding the load anymore. For a lever tool, does it mean that the lever is starting to flip around? So we call that helicoptering effect. There are also accidents happen that a lever is damaging, hurting a person by knocking on his head. And you can imagine if there's a 3-ton lever tool, what force you have on a lever. Yeah? So that is a possible root cause. Again, it can happen under the circumstances. It doesn't happen for luck every day. Yeah? And let me not to go too detailed on it, but just tell you that there is also the chance you can go in a lowering and in a lifting position, and there are different effects. But basically the message is the hoist has always a problem if you have a dynamic load. If the maintenance is not done well enough, then you have a problem with the product. So now I'm trying to get to the next page. Let me just think I activated something. Okay. So how do we solve that? So we have a couple of solutions. One is very simple. One is a chain stopper and claw. This is a mechanical stopper. What does it make? You adjust it on the product below the chain, on the chain. So and if the brake is not acting and the chain is running through the hoist, it simply blocks. Easy. Disadvantage is you need to do it manually. That means the worker has to work, then to attach it. To work, attach it. Because if the distance between the chain stopper and the hoist is too big, then the energy is so strong that it will damage the chain stopper and your chain will break. So that means there is a distance that we say 15 to 20 centimeters. You have to adjust it. Again, it's for special applications where you expect this in the dynamics. And then we thought it must be easier to do it. So therefore we developed this Ergo UT. UT is for utility because especially the utility business has a problem with these effects. So in this hoist sets the advantage is automatically working. So it means there's a gravity clutch who measures the speed. And if the speed of the hoist becomes too quick, more than 0.5 meter per second, then the gravity clutch engage pulse, and it's a second brake, basically, a second brake in the hoist that will stop the hoist. So back to the sample with Airbus, it would never happen with this hoist, because the turbine now starts slowly to turn, and the hoist was measuring, oh, the chain is running quicker than 0.5 meter per second. Stop. And the mechanical second brake will stop whatever happens. If the hoist has wrong maintenance, if the hoist is misused, if you have these effects of dynamic load, doesn't matter, because this gravity clutch is just looking at the speed. It doesn't care if parts are worn, if parts are missing by inspection, if a spring is broken. It doesn't matter because it measures the speed. And just pure on the speed, it will stop the load. So therefore, you can call it kind of an automatic redundance that the customer has, right? He doesn't have to use the chain stop, always readjust it using two hands. So he knows always the hoist is detecting the speed, and if the speed is too high, then it will stop automatically. And I think it's a great function. And we have also a certificate from a German safety and health organization. So you see BGHM and ETM. So these are the both leading safe and healthy organizations. And we talked to them because our utility customer said, okay, it's a great product, but I need an official improvement that you take over Columbus McKinnon's risk for us. Yeah, because if my worker is working with it and I still have the risk, I have no gain of it. So and therefore we work with the safety and health organization, and now we hand to our customers a certificate telling if your worker is using that hoist, he doesn't have to use this, and on the flip side, he is really safe by working with that. Yeah. So and with that basically, and this is the sample from Airbus you see, we are going in a new, I would say in a new way to our customer, because now we have found a solution driven by the utility industry, but now we found out, remember the first pictures, leveling loads of stairs. That is how they're doing that today. Think about this turbine, think about just leveling loads, think about the wind turbine. So now we can go to our customers and say, do you know about this risk? We have a solution for that. And I think that's what we're doing, and I'm working with a development team with the safety and health organization, because safety and health organization has a problem that they say that is risk, but there is no official solution. Therefore, we invite them, and we had already a plan with them established, what we need to test to certify our hoist for leveling loads. And there are a lot of applications from big companies that come to us and say, please help us, because we have a risk. Safety and health organization tell us, don't do that, but we have to do it because we don't know another way. So when we can establish this hoist with help of the safety and health organization to that solution, that will be a gain. So today, what we're offering our customer is, if you have applications like that, that are a little bit special for special environments, contact us. As an engineering team, we help you to define the solution and certify your specific need. My problem is I can't give you a certificate for everything because I don't know every application. And that is exactly the problem of the safety and health organization, because they say if you certify the hoist, you give approval for any application that you probably don't know. And that is what we're working on with the safety and health organization. Nevertheless, I can offer you, if you have a special application in this gray zone that I described, come to us. Then we look at the application with your help at your customer, and we give you an individual certificate for your customer. If it is shipyards, if it is mining, if it is the windmill, if it is Airbus, whatever. Yeah? That's basically all about the risk and boundary areas. I hope I gave you a little bit an understanding. So I'm not want to say at the end that manual hoists are not safe or electrical one, but I want to deliver the message. There are applications, there are constellations that lead to the fact that the manual hoist brake doesn't work properly, and that you have a load drop. In the best case, the customer is just telling you, oh, my load is slipping slightly. And that exists, that happens. Fortunately, we don't see a lot of accidents. But this risk is still pending there with all products from all competitors, because they're all based on a mechanical load brake that just works when you have load. Thank you. Are there questions about that? Otherwise, again, my offer, I'm here, but there's also this ergo utility unit, and you see the application, how they're using it in the power line construction, that they replace the power lines. There are always people from our development team who are really can explain how that works, where the risk is, and what the product's features are. Please use this opportunity. We are here really and also open for feedback if you have some applications. We know the company Alstom, I give you the sample. Now Airbus came to us and now it's about the solution. There are a lot of bigger customers who really have this issue. When they have internal safety engineers, they know about it, and they are really grateful that we are working on this, because we want to close this gray zone. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. So now I will present you the Phoenix column, the Phoenix lifting compact and Phoenix robotics with some more details. And basically, just a big overview about our portfolio first, what we have here. So we already have a lifting column in our portfolio, and we had actually many feedback from customers. They wanted to know exactly, okay, what is the difference between the current product which we have in our portfolio and the new products we are launching. So on the left side, you can see the original Phoenix lifting column, which is actually the first design of CMCO, and it's basically used for industrial applications, and it can lift up to actually 2.5 tons. And now we have seen actually the rise also of the robotic application. We have seen a new market over there, and that's why we decided to go this new exciting way of developing a new lifting column, which is more small and compact, and also offers plug-and-play solutions. This is actually the Phoenix Compact and Phoenix Robotics lifting column. So we are launching two new products into the market. The Phoenix Compact, it's actually also a product for industrial applications, targeting same or similar customers as the current Phoenix. But the main difference is basically that you have actually, the column is more compact. It can lift only up to 130 kilos, customization, and upon request also higher payload, but it has a much higher speed, and the biggest difference is that the motor is included in the delivery and also the control board. And this is not the case for the current Phoenix. So you have a lifting column with motor, with control board, which you are able to connect to your industrial application, and you're able to automate, and basically you are also capable of doing predictive maintenance for ensuring also smoother operations. And the new lifting column Phoenix Robotics is actually a very similar or same product as the Phoenix Compact, but here we are targeting the robotic application, the robotic arm application. And basically we are also including the motor. The motor is inside the column. We have an integrated drive, and yeah, basically with this application, we want to have actually plug-and-play solutions with the robot manufacturers for offering easy integration and actually an increased operating range for our customers with the robot arm. It can lift also up to 130 kilos, so this is covering almost all collaborative robots. I would say 90% of the collaborative robots are in the scope, and we have a very high speed up to 175 millimeters per second. Then why we basically decided to go into this new market for Silberblau basically is because we had actually customers coming to us, and they were seeing the products that were in the market for robotic applications were actually not enough. So there is a need for this product, but the competition was not fulfilling the high standards of the robotic requirements. And we have here a big benefit because of our experience of our heavy duty lifting up to 2.5 tons on the lifting column. And then we took a look in the market, and it's actually quite incredible figures. So as you can see here, the market for robotics has grown more or less 7% every year. But what is most interesting is that we had actually double-digit growth of the small and collaborative robots. So if in the year 2017 there were only 11,000 collaborative robots into the market, sold every year, in 2022 it was already 55,000, which represents around 10% or more than 10% of the total robotics market. And what is also interesting into this figure, if we look into the application and use cases, you can see, or we realized that those small and collaborative robots, they are mainly used more or less 25% in palletizing applications. And palletizing applications is one of our targets where the lifting column is being used of most common application cases for the use with the robotic arm. If we go into the specification, we can see we have a lifting column with as I mentioned, with the motor included and also with the control board. And the control board, the standard is TCP/IP communication, but on request it could be also adapted to different communication, Ethernet or Profinet or whatever is needed. We ensure with this communication basic compatibility with all robot brands, so you can use it with any robot brand. And on top, we are developing a software to make it plug-and-play communication with ABB, Universal Robots, and FANUC. And what this means basically is that the customer can just connect the lifting column to the robot controller, and the robot controller automatically recognizes our lifting column as a part of the robot. And there is no need of integration, and the customer can actually control the lifting column with the control board with the controls from the robot. And this is a big advantage, reducing the integration effort for the integrator, for the customer. And it's basically a big benefit, and it's also an approved solution by the robot manufacturer. And this gives basically the security to the customers that they are buying a solution. Okay, it's going to work, it's certified, it's tested also by the robot manufacturer. And this is something which is really, really great. Then we have also, from a technical specification, very high accuracy, up to 1 millimeter, and also even higher repetition accuracy. We have also, our product is CE certified with the CE mark. And as mentioned before, it's a robust lifting column for industrial use. And with the integration of the motor in the control board inside, this offers also an incredible possibilities. So you can monitor all the parameters like speed, position, the torque. You can see the errors. You can also make predictive maintenance, so you can reduce your downtime, and that's big advantages for the customer. Looking into the portfolio, we have listed here 6 standardized options, but if you look into the details, basically there are two options, and it's depending on the payload, payload up to 130 kilos, and payload up to 70 kilos. And with the payload up to 70 kilos, we have a higher speed, up to 175 millimeters per second, and with the 130 kilos, we have a speed of 120 millimeters per second, which is actually also very fast. Okay, let me now go into the details about the plug-and-play solution and also the partnerships with the robot manufacturers, which is actually something relatively new, being also part of the ecosystem of the robot manufacturers. And with this, we are actually entering a new way, which we are collaborating with customers and partners. And the big benefit of this this ecosystem and plug-and-play solution is basically that we have a solution which is easy to use. We are simplifying automation because it's, as mentioned before, pre-tested and certified solution, and it's much more user-friendly. We are minimizing the integration effort and setup time, so you can change the setup, change the configuration without any additional work very quickly. And you have a very nice user interface. Also, you can see here with a add-in from CMCO, where you can actually monitor and change all the configuration parameters. And basically, all information is accessible from one point access, which is the robot controller. And then as below, you can see also some names of the partnerships: ABB, Fanuc, Universal Robots. This is quite straightforward. But on top, we are also working together with known brands in the robotic area, especially palletizing. The company Rocket Farm, I think they are one of the market leaders on palletizing software. We are collaborating with them. Our product will be natively integrated into their software, which brings you with the additional value, and it's easy for the customers, if they're using the software, to also integrate our products. Progressive Robotics, also a very interesting company. They are from Greece. We are also working together and collaborating with them to offer our product not only plug and play, but if you use their software, you have also plug and play solutions with many other robot brands. And last but not least, Visual Components. I think, very known software for simulation. We are working also together with them, and our product will be automatically listed into their e-catalog. And last but not least, I have one slide to show and highlight the difference between the competitors available in the market. And we think we have a really competitive product from the pricing point of view, and we have exceptional performance values. So this is something outstanding and something which we hear from the customer feedback. The customers were struggling from the quality, reliability of competitors, mainly because the competitors, they basically enter into this market, but their product was actually not ready because they come from different industries, like maybe furniture, desk, medical, where the specification is lower. So our product, CMCO, we have the highest payload. We can lift bigger robots compared to the competition. We are more stable. This is a big advantage. We have higher speeds, even up to double speed. So this means higher productivity. We have the highest duty cycle available in the market, very high accuracy, and the best-in-class robustness available. So if you're looking for a reliable product, and these are very nice arguments how to convince the customer. And I hope you could also see the demo outside, the palletizing demo, and also the Phoenix compact lifting column mounted into the Montrack loop. These are two nice application examples. So that's my last slide. Any questions? We can share it, yes. Yeah. The 90%, this is one competitor who actually puts the duty cycle without load. So it's not really, it's difficult to compare. So that's why it's on brackets. Yeah. Yes, 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 exactly. Any other question? Okay, if you have any questions, you can reach me later. You can visit actually the booth outside, and you can contact me anytime to clarify any questions. Thank you.
That was great. I saw it the first time. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here on the main stage. How was it? Did you discover a lot? Did you have good conversations? I hope so. And I hope also that you got your ticket for the raffle, for the lottery. Is everybody has a ticket? Okay, you got a ticket, fine. So, okay. What can I say, ladies and gentlemen? The CMCO Customer Event 2025 is almost over. But only almost. There is another gentleman who would like to share some words with you. Once again, Mr. Apal-Chintapalli.
All right, so we have come to the end of our time together, but I think we do have we have to do the lottery thing to reward all the people who stayed. I know a lot of people had commitments to go back, etc. But I do have a few comments I want to make, particularly around what it means for us to be to be here, right? It's super exciting for us that we're all here, right? That we have a chance for you to interact with all of you, chance for us to kind of engage and look at our products, etc. So first, growth, right? That's the reason we are all here. We are convinced you are the right partners for us in all our geographies. So we think we can win together. We have a portfolio of solutions that you can see out there. Hopefully, we gave you confidence that we are of our commitment to you, and that our innovations are going to help you gain business, solve problems for customers, and together help us win. Right. So that's one thing. The other thing is clearly we have some challenges that we will come up with, whether it's lead times, whether it is any quality issues or responsiveness. All these, when the relationships with partners are strong and are based in trust, these can be easily overcome, right? We will make mistakes, but we will fix them, right? That's the commitment I want to make to you, and hopefully you'll be forgiving of us and help us kind of resolve these as we go, because clearly our solutions are not simple. They're complex. We are solving complex problems, and our factories will make mistakes, or our people will make mistakes. I will urge patience and cooperation and collaboration so that we can solve these things together. Then, I think you can see out there the range of offerings we have. Today, I can confidently say that if you have to move something critical safely, reliably, efficiently, we are a one-stop shop for a lot of that, right? We may not be doing very, very heavy stuff, but in general, if you need to move something heavy, push up, pull up, lift a train, tilt a ladle, or lift something heavy like a turbine. Some of the examples you've seen out there, we are the one-stop shop. And I want it, regardless of where your partnership with us began. Maybe it was in Stahl, maybe it was in FAF, maybe it was at Montratec, or maybe it's at Dorner. Wherever your partnership started, please look at us as a house of brands that can be more than what you started with, right? And there is a strength to that. You can offer greater solutions to your customers and command a greater share of your customer's wallet. So that's an urging from my side to you. Other than that, clearly an event like this cannot happen without the efforts of many people. Axel, thank you. Sabrina, who's in the back, thank you. Katrin, thank you. Stefan, who's running that, thank you for that. All the marketing people, from the people who are manning those doors, from the people who made the choices for the tchotchkes that you all get, the bags, the portfolio brochures, the video, everybody, thank you so much. And thank you all for being here. It means a lot to us that I hope we did better than last year. And the response is overwhelming for us. We are gratified by that. We will try to strive to do it better next year when we do it. So I think before we close, I know you wanted to ask a few things of me.
Yeah, I would like, thank you. I would like to ask you, there's still something missing to round off the CMCO customer event 2024.
Yes.
You have a hunch?
Yeah, I think we need to give some things away. Right?
Yeah, we have to do the lottery, and but there is something else missing.
What is that?
Our lady luck.
Ooh, okay.
So, please welcome Sabrina, our lady luck strategic planner of CMCO.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Yeah, a special thanks to her and the team. A big kind of applause for everybody.
Thanks to the team. Thank you very much.
Who's organized this.
Thank you.
So I guess we reward all of you who've stayed here longer than some of you who've left. That was the whole idea of these, by the way, is for you guys to stay longer. So I guess I have to pick 3. So let's pick one of them. 190.
Who's 190?
Check your numbers. Hey. There you go. Congratulations. Thanks for making an effort to be here. Thanks. Uh-oh. You are fast? Too fast? Need to get All right, that's one. I gotta pick one. Oh, 196. $196. Going once. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, let's. Thanks. All right, last one. You want to pick?
Yeah. Maybe nothing without 19. Okay. 175.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, thanks. All right, with that, I don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I have to say something. Thank you, Sabrina Neumann.
Thank you.
I've been asked to give you some very important information about the shuttle buses. So give me your ear. The shuttle to the Hotel Agard or Sonnenhof will leave the location at 3:30. To the Hotel Vienna, there are actually 2 buses at 3:30 and 3:50. To the Park Hotel Schmidt, there are 2 at 3:30 and 3:40. And then to the hotels Rux, Hotel am Alten Park, Best Western Augusta, and Holiday Inn. There's a bus running at 3:30 and 3:40. And buses. The airport shuttle bus to Munich Airport International at 3. And the site visitors or the site visits will leave at 3:30. So I hope you have your bus right.
So thank you, goodbye, and those of you who are joining the site visits, enjoy. And if you have more time, enjoy in beautiful Bavaria. Today is a glorious day out there, great temperature. So have a safe flight home or a safe trip home. Thank you very much for being here. I'll see you, look forward to seeing you next year. Thank you.
So also from my side, thank you very much for your attention. It was really a pleasure to guide you through the 2 days through the program. I wish you a wonderful day on your way and a safe trip home. Thank you very much and bye-bye.